Looks like you're ready to build an AR, Lou.
Yeah, we have all of our tools and parts have arrived.
Cool.
Pretty much ready to get started.
Hey everyone, welcome to Shoot On. We are about to show you how to build an AR. This is going to be an overview of the process, and we're going to be using some specialty tools from real Avid. And this is Lou Patrick. He's been doing gunsmithing work for a long time. He's a machinist as well. Built a lot of competition firearms, both in the long gun and the pistol segments. So he's going to walk you through the process on how an AR is built. And we're going to be using Rock River Arms components. They sell the individual components for you to build your own. And you know, the do-it-yourself movement has really ramped up in recent years. And a lot of that is due to the AR platform. You know, it's a simple platform to work on. The parts are readily available. And Lou will explain how this all goes together. But it's really accelerated the DIY movement, especially with the availability of aftermarket parts. So you can pretty much build an AR in whatever flavor you want. So Lou, why don't you walk through the initial steps of what we're going to be doing and explain to everybody how that's going to come together.
Well, you know, one of the advantages of getting all of our parts from Rock River Arms is that once you purchase the barrel and the bolt carrier group, Rock River will guarantee that the headspace is going to be correct. Now, even with that guarantee, I think it's wise as soon as parts arrive to verify that. After all, it's our firearm, we're building it, we're going to be the one shooting it, and most likely what Rock River provides is going to be correct, but I personally want to gauge it and know for sure that it will be. And another item that we need to gauge is the firing pin and how it protrudes from the bolt face. The firing pin must come out of the bolt face at least 28 thousandths of an inch to be able to reliably ignite the primer, and no more than 36 thousandths of an inch. Once we get longer than that, then we may pierce the primer and have some issues with gas escaping and so forth. So it's just a simple gauge to be able to check that. And with the headspace, we want to make sure that the stripped bolt carrier, we're going to take the bolt out of the bolt carrier, remove the ejector and the extractor to be able to properly use our go gauge. And with that, we want to make sure our gauge is clean and degreased along with our chamber. We want to remove all the oil that's there from shipping. The gauge simply will slide into the chamber, and then the stripped bolt will go into place. We'll rotate it into its locked position, which it should do so very easily on the go gauge. We will then remove the go gauge and insert the no-go gauge, and at that point we would not expect the bolt to rotate into its locked position. So this is going to be the first thing we do. This way, if there is a problem, our parts haven't been sitting around for a month waiting for that problem to surface, and we can have Rock River or whoever, if they need to be involved, to take care of the problem in a timely fashion.
And that is something that we can't probably stress enough, is when you've got people buying barrels from this source, bolts from that source, bringing them together, you don't know until you do a proper headspace check if it's going to be safe to fire or not. And because parts are so readily available, a lot of people don't think about that. That is very important. So yeah, we cannot stress enough the importance of buying a set of go and no-go gauges if you're going to be building ARs, and checking that, the bolt and the barrel, before you go any further. It's very important.
Yeah, we tend to think parts are parts, and that's not always the case. And many manufacturers, if not all, are going to say mil-spec parts. Mm-hmm. And I've built a lot of rifles over my 20-plus year gunsmithing career, and some items just don't want to go together. And you know, a lot of people are building sort of hodgepodge type guns with a little bit of parts from one place and parts from another place. And I've seen it where upper receivers and lower receivers simply wouldn't go together, where we put in the pivot pin and takedown pins. So it's a great advantage to get everything from one quality manufacturer such as Rock River.
Another advantage is, like for example, the real Avid Armor's Master Kit. We'll talk about you know, simplicity, one-stop shopping. You know, they've developed this kit that pretty much covers every step that you will encounter as far as the tools go when building an AR.
I tell you, it really becomes handy for the novice. For someone that is new to putting together an AR-15, to have all the tools in one neat little carrying case. And there's some rather unique qualities to the toolkit that Real Avid has. And I've used it quite often over the past few months, and I'm very satisfied.
Yeah, I've used it a few times for some of the other projects we've been doing at Shoot On, and it's really surprising, you know, when you find a solution to a problem that you've had for years. It's like, oh, why didn't somebody else think of that, or somebody think of that beforehand? And yeah, they've
Quality parts and the right tool for the job.
Yeah.
It makes AR assembly quite easy.
great. Well, you're going to show us how to do that, so we'll let you get to it, and we'll see what the end result looks like on the other side.
All right, let's get started.
Well, that came together pretty good. So what is the next step once you have everything completely assembled?
Once all the work's complete, the first thing you want to do is a functions check. So the way we do this, we pull back on the charging handle, release the charging handle, and rotate the selector lever to the safe position. Pull back on the trigger, the hammer should not fall. Release the trigger, rotate the selector lever to the fire position, pull back on the trigger, we should hear that audible click of the hammer falling. Now, maintaining rear pressure on the trigger, we pull back on the charging handle, and what this does, we just simulated as though we fired a cartridge. So now we slowly release the trigger forward, and we should hear a click that indicates trigger reset. And we pull back on the trigger, once again, the hammer should fall. So we know mechanically here on the bench that the rifle is functioning as intended. Of course, the next step is going to be to range and see if it'll work under live fire conditions. And the first thing we should do when we go to the range is we want to go with factory ammunition from a reputable manufacturer that we're all familiar with. And we don't want to go and put a 30-round magazine fully loaded into a rifle such as this, being that we just built it and we don't know how it's going to function. We just put 1 round in the magazine and fire at one time. This way, if something was to go full auto or have a problem, we're not going to empty a 30-round magazine. So I'd start out with 1 cartridge, fire it, then examine the case and make sure that it looks as though it should, that there's no obvious bulges or cracks or splits or so forth. And as long as that worked okay, then I would go to 2 rounds. That way, if the rifle did go full automatic, it would just be 2 rounds doing that. And of course, if we have a problem and it's shot to automatically, when it's supposed to be semi-automatic fire, then we need to return to the workbench and diagnose the problem.
Great. Well, let's see how this one's going to do. You ready to go to the range?
I'm ready, let's go.
Let's do it.